Hey there. I wanted to do a little video on foot massage. I am in a hotel room because I am traveling for a family vacation. And I did a lot of driving yesterday, which tends to tighten up my whole right leg because I am moving my foot, from gas to the brake. And so a lot of tension will build up. And when I woke up this morning, it was very stiff. My ankle was stiff. So I thought I would take you through my little massage routine. So first thing is just a light touch. So just coming in and just giving the skin a little light touch. And we're gonna slowly get into, a little bit of a deeper touch, but we don't want to just go digging in there. We want to, this is us that we're touching. So just a nice little good morning, how are we doing today kind of touch through the skin, very superficial. Even with this, you might notice if there's little areas of tenderness or places that have something to say to you. And so when you do get a little bit deeper, you can go back to those places and see what's going on. Now, the next thing is we're gonna go from the bottom all the way up. So even though I'm feeling this more in my calf and more in my ankle, I want to address the foot. So first thing is I'm using my hands because they are always with me, but you can do this with a ball or with a roller. It can be really nice with our own hands because again, it's me touching myself. So not only is my foot getting information, so is my hand. So I am just doing this, medium pressure, little rubs, and it's really about like 2 inches and then I'm moving, 2 inches and then I'm moving. So how we touch has a very big effect on how our tissues respond. So when we push really, really hard, our nervous system doesn't always appreciate that. And we might get relief in the long run, but it might not stay. So taking your time with this kind of medium rubbing, can be great. That's why there is a method called the melt method. Shout out to Sue Hitzman, and I have a melt roller at the studio. It's so wonderful because you're not on that hard roller that's smashing into your body. It's on this nice soft surface that is going to create responsiveness, which helps to hydrate, which helps to talk to your nervous system in a really nice way. It makes your body feel like there's safety and support. And this is what our hand is doing. So just these little massages, and you want to do that all across the bottom of your foot. You want to make sure you get every inch. And then we're going to go into the toes. And as long as it doesn't, bother you, if it's like, oh, that tickles, do what you can. But we want to get a little massage in between the toes. How often do you touch in between your toes? And we're not walking around barefoot all the time, right? And even when we do, we are not walking on these uneven surfaces. I'm about to, because today we're heading to the beach. And so when we're on the sand, that sand is going to get in between the toes when we walk and open them. And that's what they're really meant to do, but they don't get an opportunity to do that. And this can affect all of the tissue, like in between the toes, things can get a little tight and dehydrated. So we can get in between those toes, a little touch, wiggle them. Really important to work with your toes. Now, we're gonna move up, and if you're doing this with me, I want you to find your ankle bones. These are actually the bottom of your lower leg. And this bone in particular is your fibula, and it connects up to your thigh bone. That's your knee joint. So these bones, they're meant to rotate a little bit when we walk. Now, yesterday when I was in the car and I was driving, they weren't really getting that nice movement. They were kind of being held. And so all the tissue around gets nice and stiff, or not nice and stiff, just stiff. And then you wake up in the morning and you try to walk and you're like, oh. So we want to work in the ankle joint. When you flex your foot, these bones will rotate forward a little bit. And when you go to push down, here's my gas pedal. I'm pushing on the gas pedal. I'm not going to tell you how fast I drive. You're going to rotate backwards. So there's this movement here. But when the tissue gets really restricted, that movement doesn't happen as nicely. So we can help that tissue out by finding the place in between these bones. So if you find your ankle bones and then you come way up here, this is where your other lower leg bone is, you'll find that there's like a little knobby thing, and you'll notice it's below your knee joint. Here's that knee joint, and here's that other little knobby joint. That's your fibula. That's like a lovely little rudder, but if it's not able to do that, everything just gets locked down, and then the ankle can't move, and then we don't feel great trying to walk around. So there's a lot of tissue in between here. And we're just gonna, again, it's those like little 2 inches, and you're just gonna go up and down. You can move in both directions, and you could also just go up, you could go down, you can pull sideways. So we're just trying to get movement in the tissue, and you can maybe notice, like, if there is a lot of tightness, your skin doesn't really move a lot. So as you're doing this, you might be noticing like, oh, I'm getting some, more looseness in my skin. So this is helping to create a little bit more mobilization in that ankle joint, which is going to be really, really helpful. And you could do this, for a couple of minutes for the sake of our video, just doing it for maybe a minute. And we want to also pay attention to, I said about the skin, but how do I feel underneath my hands? So as you're moving through this massage, can you notice, like, oh, my foot feels different than here. This is where a lot of my tightness is. So I really feel this, like this is like kind of tissue. Whereas if I come over to like this side, it's like, oh, it's a little looser. So self-massage is wonderful because we start to learn, what do I feel like? So we can begin to notice if something needs a little bit more attention, okay? Now last, it just feels good to go right at the back of that calf. And you can keep going. So a little extra education for today. Your foot, your leg, all the way up, and this entire pelvic half all grew together in a little limb bud when you were growing yourself. So we can just give a little massage all the way up, just remembering that beautiful relationship, and all the way down. There. So that is my lovely little foot massage, and it already feels so much better. I've created circulation and really a lot of proprioception by touch. So my brain is able to find this area a little bit easier, which is very helpful for if I am having pain. And touch in itself is very soothing to the nervous system, as long as it's a touch that you like. So we're creating a little bit more balance that way as well. And when we balance the nervous system, we really help to balance the body. So I hope that you enjoyed that. And now my other leg is begging for this as well. So you can turn off the video and do this whole massage on the other leg, or you can just, start at the beginning and start it on the other leg. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you at the beach.